Good day, my name is Christel from Frans, Klerk, Independent Technical Analysts. Keith wanted us to kick off with Kumba. And on a weekly graph, we can see there's a possible double top formation. Now, a double top, a triple top, or a head and shoulder formation are all warning formations. The share reached an all-time high on the 8th of Jan 2018 at 414 Rand and 90 cents. And then the high was reached at 25th of Feb 2019 at 395.89. However, this high is not as high as this one, which is a little bit of a concern. So if the share continues to reach for lower levels and does not change that 395.89 into a support, that double top formation will be confirmed around 263 Rand 83. The target of that double top formation is the length of one of the heads projected downwards from the confirmation of the neckline, which means that this double top formation can take Kumba back to 140 Rand should the formation play out. We also know that a formation does not normally play out within 1 or 2 sessions, but is built and takes time to play out. The stochastic indicator is in overbought territory, and that means it's above an 80 or 90, and that also indicates that the probability of the share to reach for lower levels is more likely. The fact that the share is losing steam and that it's not closing as close to the highs of the days tells my stochastic indicator that the buyers are losing interest and that the sellers might be taking profits. Keith also wanted us to look at DRD. And of all the gold counters on the stock exchange, this one was the most lethargic. And the fact that it's trading below that 40-week moving average that is waiting at 3.29 Rand is a concern. We can assume that the momentum to the bottom will continue again when 267 changes into a resistance. So first, the share has to change that 40-week moving average waiting at 329, and especially this trend line that has been that found resistance there around the 13th of November 2017. It needs to change that into a support. And if I extend it and project the trend line, the share needs to change 3.36 Rand into a support before we can see maybe higher lows and a little bit more optimism in the share. I cannot look at DRD and not look at Anglo Gold because this is one of the gold counters that just skyrocketed to the top. But look how interesting enough that when this 40-week moving average, which is represented by the red line, when that changed into a support and the long-term sentiment towards the share changed to positive, this share just moved from the one high to the other. Interesting enough, we can see that it also formed a rising channel, which is actually a negative formation, which means that if the share on a weekly close starts to consolidate below 187 Rand 91, this rising channel can take the share to lower levels. I want to see if this is a window that might be waiting here between 157 Rand 47 and 156 Rand 35. So there's a small gap here, a small window where no trading has taken place. Now the rules of windows are, especially on a weekly graph, they weigh quite heavy, that the windows always get closed. It can take weeks, months, or even decades, but that trading gap will close at some time. We can also see that there's a window higher up, waiting between 196 Rand and 7 cents and 195 Rand 08. So the share can easily maybe go and close this window at the higher levels and maybe retrace further. But that 187 Rand level is a critical level which is the lower band of this rising channel. We cannot look at all the gold shares and not look at the gold price itself. Interesting enough, when this level, $1,212 changed into support, this commodity just reached from the one high to the other. However, we've seen previously, and if I zoom back and minimize this a little bit, we can see that $1,357 is a very critical, strong resistance level. And we can assume that if the gold price changes that level into a support, this commodity price can even reach for higher levels. I want to just quickly maybe change this into a monthly graph, and you'll see how much leg this gold price actually still have to higher levels. Look there, 1,357 looks like a blot in the sand when we look at gold price at the gold price on a monthly graph. And interesting enough, when it can start to change that level into a support, it can easily go for $1,430 and even $1,500. However, the first warning of the gold price will be when it starts to consolidate below $1,280 again. I'm very optimistic about the gold price. I think we can maybe see a change of that $1,357 into a support. Benny wanted us to look at Mondi. Now, Mondi Limited, interesting enough, on a daily graph, because he's a trader, and he said, Christelle, I wanted a short-term view on it. And interesting enough, this head and shoulder formation cannot be ignored. It's testing the neckline at the moment, which is waiting at 330 Rand and 7 cents. And when that level changes into a resistance on a daily close, because this is a daily graph, the warning will be on the table. A conservative target of this head and shoulder formation is 314 Rand 50 and even 306 Rand. The warning formation of the head and shoulder will only be wiped off the table and become obsolete when 344 Rand 77 changes into a support again. And that is the level of the left shoulder or the right shoulder. But Benny, sometimes the formation just breaks through it and retraces again. So don't be too rigid on those levels and rather see it as a zone or an area that you have to look out for, that this warning formation can become obsolete. Which makes it difficult is the fact that the stochastic indicator is so oversold. Being so oversold, it means that the probability of this share to reach for higher levels is more likely. So having said that, Benny, maybe this head and shoulder formation will become off the table and will become obsolete because of that stochastic, and above that 343 Rand 70, we can see higher levels on Mondi. Benny wanted us to look at Aspen as well. Now, when they made their announcement that their financial results were disappointing and the debt levels are a concern, this share plummeted to as low as 68 Rand 99. But interesting enough, at that level, there was buyers that were prepared to take the share price to higher levels. And this long lower shadow on the candle tells me that there is optimism. It tells me that there were buyers that were prepared to accumulate this share despite all the weakness. A possible beautiful morning star formation is visible with a strong bearish candle, a hammer candle, and a bullish engulfing candle. So above 113 Rand, the optimism of that formation will be confirmed, and we can assume that the momentum to the top will continue. There's a gap, or also called a window, waiting there between 123 Rand 90 and 137 Rand 12. Now, windows always get closed. It can take weeks, months, or even years, but this is a nice target for any investor that maybe wants to accumulate Aspen over time. Renee wanted us to look at EOH. Now, we've previously mentioned that EOH needs to change the level of weighting around 20 Rand into a support before we can be optimistic about it. What is very positive about this graph at the moment is the fact that these lows are a little bit higher. This low is a little bit higher than this one. But the optimism will only be confirmed when 20 Rand changes into a support. With this ascending triangle being formed here, the graph will warn again when 15 Rand 80 changes into a resistance. My stochastic is in no man's land, so I won't take too much notice of it. But above 20, more optimism. Below this, a lower band of the ascending triangle, negativity. I want to go back to weekly graphs, and I want to look at Weight Watchers. For the simple reason that, as I've said on the Kumba graph, that when a formation warns, like a double top or a triple top formation, like in this case, Weight Watchers listed on the US exchange, Investors can't ignore it because if that neckline changes into a resistance, the formation often plays out more than the actual length of the head or the shoulder of it. And the first sign of strength on Weight Watchers will only be visible above $29.67. And the reason why I say $29.67 is because you can see there's often green candles that might have sucked investors in just to spit them out. So above that level, $29.67, first sign of optimism. But if the share starts to consolidate below $18.77 again, we can assume that the momentum to the top will continue.